Welcome to another episode of Real Estate the Right Way with your host, Michael.Wright, residential realtor on Long Island, New York, delivering the best educational content when it comes to residential real estate. We just wrapped up a fantastic series on what it takes to buy a house. Today, we're starting the conversation for what to do when you're ready to sell the house. And it's interesting, I get asked a lot, who do I prefer to work with more, buyers or sellers? And it's kind of like choosing between, your favorite child. It's a really tough decision. But like kids, each one is a little bit different. It's important, I think, to work with both buyers and sellers so that you understand when you're on one side of the transaction what the other side is most likely thinking. And the only way to do that is to really be on that side in another transaction. But there is a difference between buyers and sellers and how we go about helping each of them. On the buying side, I feel like the process is more of an art. There's a lot more emotions involved. You're uncovering subtle nuances, trying to understand buyers' wants and needs, and digging into how this home is going to fit and serve their lives. On the selling side, I believe listing a property is closer to a science. So buying is art, selling is science. There is a process that we have developed. It's incredibly successful. And when we find sellers that follow this recipe, follow our guidance, and follow our knowledge and expertise, we sell homes for top dollar. It's a process that can be repeatable, can be executed, and has been proven. So that's why I kind of feel like working with buyers is an art, working with sellers is a science. So if you are ready to sell, let's dive in to what you should be looking for. So what's the first step you should do when you're ready to sell your home? Call me. It's that simple. I'll take care of everything. That's what I do for a living. Half of my transactions are with buyers and the other half are with sellers. As we go through everything that's involved in selling a home, just know that if you're working with a qualified professional, experienced, and knowledgeable realtor, they'll be able to walk you through each step, give you guidance, give you a helping hand, and really be your guide and your advocate through the whole process. In this video, we're going to give a brief overview of everything that's involved in the home selling process. As I said, the first step is calling me, and here's what I'm going to do to help you. The first thing we focus on is preparing the house for sale. And this is kind of in two steps. You want to first prepare it for the photos and video, and then you also want to prepare it for showings. And the way that you can prepare a home for sale, there are a lot of things that you can do. And it's almost kind of on a spectrum from a complete disaster to absolute perfection. And in this spectrum of disaster to perfection, everyone's house fits somewhere in the middle. No house is absolutely perfect. You can get pretty close. And no house is an absolute disaster. But, we're inside this scale. And the more you can improve the home, the closer you get to perfection, the higher the sale price will ultimately be. However, there is a point of diminishing returns, and we need to together find out where that point is. How much capital are you looking to invest in preparing the home for sale? And then at what point do the renovations or improvements take too much time, too much energy, too much effort, too much money to really gain the return that project might have? So to give you an example simplistically, and we always go from fastest and least cost down to most expensive and most time consuming. And then as we walk down that list, we uncover where that point of diminishing returns is. And that's how we determine how you'll prepare the home for professional photos, professional video, and also preparing it to be shown. The difference between, in my opinion, preparing a home for photos and videos versus preparing the home for actual showings, when you're preparing a house for photos and video, you almost want to make it look like nobody lives there. You want magazine show quality, maybe some fresh plants, but hiding all the hygiene products, and we'll do a deep dive into each of these steps, but just to give a brief overview. Make it look like, as much as possible, nobody lives there. But then for showings, and because you're probably still living here, there's going to be certain items that come back out in daily life. And when you're showing a buyer a house that looks like people actually live there, it provides a more warmth and a more homey feel to it, which is subconsciously more attractive to buyers. So we'll review how we should get the house ready for photos and video, and also how we should get the house ready for actual showings. So once we've had our professional photography and videography complete, then we focus our efforts towards marketing and advertising. The marketing, as I look at it, is the photos, the video, and the listing description, and also how the house is staged. The things that we're actually going to use then in the advertisements. And then the advertising component is a mix of all different medias. I like to tell sellers that my goal when we list a property is to show the house to as many people, as many times, in as many ways as possible. That involves a comprehensive marketing plan, which includes print, social media, and the web. And when you're advertising, it makes sense to advertise in the town that the home is located in, because on average, about 20% of the buyers are in that town. But it's also important to know where the other buyers are living. We've seen a good migration from the city out to Long Island, and there's certain towns that are at a slightly lower price point than other towns, and those are kind of like towns that feed other towns. And when people are ready to make that trade up, maybe improve their school district or improve their quality of life. So if we know where the buyers are coming from, it's important to advertise there. And now once we have the marketing and advertising plan created, we actually need to put it on the calendar so that we have them ready for the actual marketing. And we want to make sure that the marketing is planned well in advance so that we have maximum exposure, but also we're not breaking any rules, because the MLS does have strict requirements on how homes can be advertised before they can actually be showing. So we want maximum exposure for a maximum amount of time, keep the home fresh in buyers' eyes right before showing. You've called me, you've prepped the house, we had the photos, we had the video, we came up with our marketing plan, we put it on the calendar, it's ready to execute. Once people get in the house, right, that's the whole idea of marketing and advertising. The goal is to get as many people in the house as possible, qualified buyers obviously. And then once we've shown it to as many people as possible, the goal is to then begin negotiating offers, which we'll do a separate video on that as well. So we're negotiating offers, we're selecting the strongest together, qualifying the buyer, making sure that they can actually afford what their offer says they can afford. And once we've selected an offer to move forward with, it's time for the home inspection. And we'll do a separate video on the seller's side of the home inspection, how we should prepare the home for that, and what we can expect when the home inspector comes in, what that home inspector's role is in this process from the seller's perspective. And once we negotiate anything that pops up from the home inspection, it's time to go to contract. So we're going to make sure that you're working with the right attorney, we're going to make sure that the buyer's working with the right attorney, and we're going to make sure that both parties sign the contracts as expeditiously as possible. That's a pretty good word. And to do that, we need to prevent certain roadblocks, certain hurdles. We need to have an accurate perception of the COs that are on the house. Maybe address some appraisal concerns depending on what the offer is. We want to review inclusions and exclusions. What is the buyer getting with the house? Are they getting all the appliances? Are they getting all the light fixtures? Are they getting the family heirloom door knocker that's been in your family, or should we exclude that? What about the flat screen TV? It's mounted to the wall. Are you leaving the bracket? Are we taking that off? We'll cover everything, and we'll do it in a separate video. We also want to review the closing timeline and maybe a holdover clause to allow you to pack up and move once you've purchased the next home. All of these items are important to discuss before the attorneys get involved. So that way, the attorney's job is as simple and clean-cut as possible, So we hand them everything that we've agreed to, everything the buyers agreed to. They draw up the contract. They might have some slight changes in verbiage and language, but then in a couple days, if not sooner, the buyers sign, the sellers sign, and we're locked into full contract. So once contracts are signed, the buyers actually have a lot to do. If you watch the videos on the process of buying a home, there's a lot involved between contract and closing. But what do the sellers have to do? Well, the sellers have one important job. They need to find a new spot for all their stuff. You're moving somewhere. Where's that stuff going to go? Is it going to be donated? Are you taking it with you? Is it going to be in your new home? Do we need to figure out storage company, moving company? I'm here for all that. Logistics galore. So let me ask you, does this seem like a lot? Well, this is what it takes to get top dollar for your property. We know it, we love it, we enjoy every second of it. We'd be blessed at the opportunity to work with you. So stay tuned to the channel as we walk through every single step in a deep dive over the next few weeks. Thank you so much for watching, and as a reminder, please like, ask me a question in the comments, subscribe to the channel, hit that bell so you're always notified of new videos, and as always, tell me what home means to you, and I'll help you get there. This is Michael.Wright with another episode of Real Estate the Right Way.